Welcome to Psychic Holistic Spotlight. I'm your host, squeaking away, Josie Way. Had a lot of pollen recently. Co-hosting with me today are Ken Demers and Kathy Costa. If you notice, the name has changed.
It was time for the change.
It was time for that.
It was time.
And today with us is Jodie St. Onge, who is a medium and a healer. And she knows a million healing modalities.
I wouldn't say it was a million.
Well, you were rattling off all of them, and trust me, I thought I was a glutton. But, you know, you and Kathy have a lot of healing modalities.
There's a few.
And where did you start with all this? How did this happen?
Oh my goodness. Well, first, thank you so much for inviting me on the show. I really appreciate it. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Kathy. Thank you, Josie. And thank you, Ken, as well for being here and having me on. So my journey in healing started when I was 4. I began as a little girl, and I just practiced hands-on healing. And so I would do hands-on healing in the playground, and that evolved along with my communicating with spirits into my high school years. And, you know, I would take away the pain from my boyfriend, and if he would work out or something, and I would give him healing on his muscles, and I was really good at getting rid of headaches. And
That's one of his specialties.
What? I can't hear you.
Headaches.
Headaches. You're good at headaches.
really good at getting rid of headaches.
Hey, I wave my hands over people and then go on.
Yeah,
Never get
it's
'em
like,
again.
you know, and so I started there, and I've always been very interested in various different techniques or healing modalities that are available to us. And I also, I studied a tremendous amount of different religious practices as well from the time that I was a young girl. And so I always knew that I was going to do some type of healing, and started when I was about 23 years old. I started my stepping into Reiki, and 47 now, and so I'll be 48 in February. So I started off as a Reiki person, and just
What date in February?
February 7th.
Oh, I'm the 3rd.
Yeah, the 3rd. Good Aquarians. And I started with the Reiki, and but I'm a mom too, so
Yeah.
that allowed me a lot of flexibility.
Tell me, I have to ask, are your children gifted?
Of course, yes, they both are very gifted. Intuitively, both of them are trained in Reiki. My eldest daughter, Rachel, was trained at 3 years old. We attuned her at 3, and Samantha was attuned at birth. Right after my C-section, she got a Reiki 1 from my Reiki master who was there with me. And she would do little healings when she was about 3, 4 years old. She'd pull up her little stool next to me, and I had a healing room at home, and she would step up and she would put her hands in the prayer position, and she would just go to town. And she had this beautiful, like, light blue light about her. So, and everyone would always say that, like, oh my gosh, like, she's such a joy bug. And she was just this little girl. Of course, now they're very gothy and into the vampires and dragons, so they're not really on like my path, but they still
Different
come to me.
frequency.
Yes, but they're growing, so I just allow them the opportunity to grow, and I know that they'll come back to it at some point when they're ready. They don't have to be a healer like I am. They don't have to be a medium, although they do like it, and they do like that they're intuitive, and then of course they.
Did you do any past life readings on them?
Actually, I didn't have to. Both of my children told me who they were when they were young children. And I recognized it as not a story, but as it was their memories. And they were about 3 years old, both of them.
And in the paranormal field?
They're both in the paranormal.
No, then.
Oh, back then, no. But I don't know. Both of my children had not a very good past life. So.
Yeah, those are tough to get past, though, in the current life, though.
Yeah, and they still carry a bit of that, of the trauma in their passing. So
Once they aware of it, it'll the traumas of it will disappear.
they're both aware. They're both
It
aware of
doesn't,
it.
some traumas don't just disappear.
Well, they can,
Well,
but
for most people.
it depends. But for them, they both
Yes.
have phobias of water. So
Oh, that's interesting.
it took a very long
Common
time to
one.
get them to swim. And
That's a hard one.
yeah, and so they both have it. But I realized that I also carry a bit of that, but not to that extent.
You know, the one I want to talk about with you, we've had tons of mediums, tons of different kinds of healers. We've had very, very few medical intuitions. How did you get into that, and how do you use it? And
So I'm a theta healing, an advanced theta healer, and I'm also a theta healing practitioner. And within the theta healing system of healing that was brought to us by a woman named Vienna Steibel, and she's from Idaho Falls in Idaho, and she was a naturopath and a healer. Needless to say, let's fast forward a little bit. And there is training in intuitive anatomy that I took with the theta healing.
so there's a specific training to teach you to be an intuitive.
To be able
A
to
medical
read inside
intuitive is
and
what
to
I'm-
be able to read and talk to the body. Yeah.
Okay, that's
So I can talk to your livers, your kidney,
that's very special. I don't think we've had anybody.
and I've with theta healing, I've been able to see where there was broken bones, where they've been remended. I've worked with people with neuropathy problems and have neuropathy heal, cancers, different variations of cancers.
And basically, how do you go about learning that? I mean,
Well, I trust wholeheartedly in the creator of all that is, so that's first off. To become a theta healer, you find a theta healer teacher. You can learn theta healing from a book, because Vienna has written books on theta healing, and they are available on Amazon.
who's the author of those books for the
Vienna Steibel, so that's Stibal. I hope I said
Okay.
that correct. Felt that right. So.
Part of what we try to do is teach people how they can do their own thing.
Absolutely, and that's what
And
theta
become
healing
you.
really teaches. It's not about, you don't have to be trained in any other healing modality to become a theta healer. Many of the people that come into theta healing are doctors and nurses. It's being practiced all over the world, and in fact, a huge amount of doctors and nurses from the East, and I mean over, in Europe and beyond, in
Oh, I thought you
Japan and
meant the
everything.
East Coast.
No, I mean over in the
Europe,
eastern part of
Europe
Europe.
type stuff.
Yeah, so theta healing is being practiced in well over 100 countries around the world.
It's good with emotional healing as well.
Absolutely, because it works along the belief systems that are stored in the body, and so that we can release those triggers that you receive if you experience any kind of trauma. And it doesn't have to be trauma that you've went through. It can be a trauma that your mom went through, or your grandparents. And in fact, the healing can go back generationally into as far back as your ancestors, going back many, many generations of belief systems or traumas or experiences. And so
Well,
and that
it's-
just clears.
It's written in the Bible that all the good you do will be gifted for 7 generations, and all the negative you do will be cause your family to suffer in coming generations.
So for me, I don't know if I would accept that belief. And I was raised as a Catholic, and I love Catholicism. I love God. I feel very close to God. I pray every day. To me, that's very limiting, and it holds you in what we like to call suffering. So as a theta healer, if I was to work on you, I would want to get rid of that.
Yeah.
Do you want to carry a belief about suffering? Of course not.
No.
But I do find that there are people that do come to me that have things like generational curses, or they come to me.
Generational what?
Curses. Like a lot of
Curses.
the Portuguese community,
Yeah.
believe it or not, there are curses within those communities going back generations, and they believe them, that it's actually embedded within your DNA. And so even whether you're a good, bad, or indifferent, you're born into this world and you have these beliefs. And so I say, do you want to keep that? And I say, Creator, change that. Teach them what it feels like to live without that. And then it lifts.
That's not a bad thing.
And so, and then whatever experience like anxiety that might come along with that, or any phobias around that, will also disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely end the generational trauma.
Now,
With
why is, are you Portuguese? Why is that something that would be prominent in the Portuguese.
It's not just within the Portuguese, I just
Well, I'm
utilize
assuming
that.
it's Italian too, because they're.
Of course,
got that
and you go
same
down into
mentality.
like Mexico, and there's a ton that are down, and for a lot of our Hispanic communities also, they really believe in a lot of that. And I know that when I stand in front
Because
of a crowd.
they believe it, does that make it stronger?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you don't have to be a believer for it to still affect you.
Yeah.
And so we use a form of kinesiology and theta healing to determine where you're carrying a belief. So like I carry a generational curse would be a belief. And so I would have you muscle test that. And so we would muscle test it on the core, your genetic, your history, or your soul level.
That's interesting.
And so you might not carry it on the core level, but you would, thank you, would carry it on, I'm sorry, I'm already linking in. You would carry it on your genetic or your history level, which would be from your parents going back generations of beliefs, generations of experiences. If you are Irish, so here's a funny thing about being Irish. So we carry, because I have Irish in me, along with a few other things.
I do too.
But we carry the potato famine. It's in our DNA.
Yeah.
Poverty.
What would you carry forward?
So I've already cleared that.
The struggle of the.
It would be like, so it would be that, and you might understand
Fear
this.
of
So,
famine.
like, it's feast or famine, and so you'll have all of this money coming in, and you're rolling in the dough, and then poof, it's gone. It's like, wait a second, I know I just had $1,000 in there, and it's only been 5 days. And even though you might have put it to good use and paid the bills, the taxes, the food for the table, but it goes by so very quickly. And so there might be an inability of saving to be able to have a savings, and you wouldn't realize that that's actually a belief system that would be in your DNA. Maybe there's a lot of beliefs surrounding money and abundance. So it doesn't have to necessarily be that that it comes from ancestors, like being Irish, having the potato famine. And if you have any family members that were clergy, you're also going to carry a poverty gene. It's just going to be in there.
Yeah.
And so that's also present. And so we just find out where it comes from and then clear it.
I know I had as a woman, I was in Ireland, and one of my children was my children then, and it was a very, very difficult life. I know that.
So, the generational trauma can be carried forward many generations, or sometimes more than the 7, but I've seen it less though too.
Oh no, even farther back than that. So your core level is everything you've learned from birth until now. Everything that you've taught since you've been born. Your genetic level is everything that you've been learned and taught going back 7 generations. Okay? Anything further back than that is where your ancestors are, or past life, if you believe that. A lot of people don't like to believe that, so I'd be open to that. I believe in past lives. So, and that would be on your history level. But the history level also contains things that may have happened on the genetic or the core level that were deeply impacting. Okay, and the soul level are the deepest parts of who you are. They are what make you who you are. And so healing that happens on the soul level can actually change an individual to such a degree. Like parts of their personality can change in a positive sense.
Now, before we get too close to the end of the show, tell people how they find you.
So they can find me. I'm on Facebook. It's Jodie Griffin St. Onge on Facebook. I'm also Blue Angel Healing, also on Facebook. But I do have some changes going on. So to be open to those changes, because I'm stepping into spirit medium, healer, Jodie St. Onge, and you can find me on Instagram and on TikTok, because I just got a TikTok.
TikTok.
Do you have a website as well?
I'm working on the website. There are some old websites that are out there, and I want people to know that as far as phone numbers and things like that, to find me through the email, because I just changed my phone, so I have a new number.
So what was that one? Something Blue Angel?
It's Blue Angel Healing.
Okay, that people can remember that.
Yeah, and you can find me on Facebook as Blue Angel Healing. That's my practice. That's what I do business under.
So how often do you deal with angels?
Every day, of course.
And
Yeah, you can't live, once you're involved with them, you can't live without them.
so how do you incorporate them with what you do?
Well, today is different than when I did 10 years ago because of theta healing. So because I work with the creator of all that is, I just go to the creator and say, creator, send me the angel that's appropriate for this individual, because so many of us just gravitate to Archangel Michael or Archangel Raphael, but not realizing that there's hundreds of angels that are there available to us to assist us. And not just the angels that are our guardian angels, but angels within the angelic realm. So within that beautiful pyramid of the angels, from the seraphim down all the way to the bottom, which is our angels.
I like the, what's the little girl ones?
Cherubim.
The cherubians.
Cherubs, yes.
Cherubian angels are actually not children.
Yes,
It is a
I've told them that.
misconception.
I didn't say
They
they
are
were
actually
children,
part
right?
animal and they're part human. So if you want to look at what a cherubian angel would look like, you should look to Egyptian mythology, because the Sphinx is like a cherubian angel, and they are to be the galactic cosmic healers of all things, like within our universe.
Yeah.
They're actually quite pompous and don't like people at all. They don't want to talk to us.
I kind of
Because they're so far beyond us, you see. Like, you know, that's why we work with archangels and we work with our guardian angels, because they are so close to the human realm that they know how to communicate with us. You go into the seraphims and they are so otherworldly.
Elevated.
Very elevated, that they are of pure flame. Most people would die upon fright if they saw a seraphim in their fullest form.
Would what?
Die upon fright.
Why?
Because they're so glorious and inflamed. They're flame.
They're quite intense energy, is what she's saying.
Yeah, but like legit, like flame. Archangel Michael is also a seraphim. He's of blue flame, and everyone knows about the flaming blue sword of Archangel Michael. So he is also a prince and an archangel.
Here's something that, welcome your opinion on it. I was having past life readings, Akashic record reading done, which turned out to be past lives. And they were talking about, when I first came to this planet, that the angels were very much like the people that came. And they were saying that those people almost seemed to be archangels. Some of the individuals.
There's a lot of, we look into a lot of history and to the beginning of us, and a lot of people could even say that the angels are aliens.
Well,
because they were flying people, like they had wings and they came down, or they had this ability, and we as with our little pea brains as humans perceive it in a specific way, so we say it's like an angel. But I have communicated with angels, like in a reading, and I have facilitated healing with angels, and for me, they're like us, but they're energetic beings of light.
do you ever watch Ancient Alien type show?
Oh, yeah.
Where they talk about these certain astronauts saw gigantic angels outside the spacecraft?
Yes, I've seen that.
What would you classify them as?
As what they are. They're beings. They're light beings.
Okay.
I would call them a light being.
A separate classification
For
altogether.
me, in my beliefs and how I was raised and what I believe in how I communicate with angels, is that they are the heralds of the creator of all that is. And
The what?
God, creator of all that is. God. I just say creator. And so, to me, I feel like it's like out there in like the heavens, but they're all beings of the fifth plane. And so beings of the fifth plane are where all of the masters are. That's where all of the angels are. It's where all of the demigods are. If you read on to some of the old traditions, like even the Celtic gods and goddesses would be considered a demigod, but they are a being of the fifth plane.
Interesting.
We got a lot of help.
We do, actually.
If we know to reach out
You have
to
to
it.
ask for it, though, and most people
Yes,
don't ask.
That's because of the law of free will. Every
Yeah,
single one
I
of us
agree.
has the law of free will. They can't do anything
you don't
without
ask, they
permission.
don't volunteer it.
They're not going to intervene. Same with healings, and that's where the healing, with theta healing, why I love it so much as well, is because every change that is made in the body, you have to give the verbal permission. And once it's done, it's done.
Yeah, it works nicely.
It does.
Now, do you teach theta healing, or you're not there? You do.
Oh, I do. I'm
Okay.
trained in both the basic, advanced, the dig in deeper course, and the creator and I.
Okay.
So the four primary, the beginner courses that everybody needs to take
Okay.
to start. So you don't have to. I
Right.
mean, most practitioners that are coming in might just only take it into advanced. I wanted to be an instructor. I've been trained in 14 different theta healing courses, so that I've taken. So that
Who comes up with the original idea of teaching?
everything comes from Vianna.
From who?
Vianna Steibel, the founder of Theta
Okay, so
Healing,
who's giving her this information?
the creator of all that is.
So she's got an email to somebody up above.
She sits in deep meditation. If you were to meet her, you would understand why I would say that. She's like a direct connect. I've never in my life, and I've met a lot of really holy people, and I've met a lot of really loving. Never in my life have I met a woman with the vibrational energy of such unconditional love as Vianna Steibel. Like you just cry. in
Now,
her
where is
presence.
she from?
She lives in Montana. She's in Big Fork, Montana now.
She's in Big Fort?
Yeah, it's Big Fork, just like I said it, like a big giant fork.
Oh, Fort. I thought you were saying Fort.
It's just south of Kalispell, which is just outside of Glacier National Park.
Interesting. Who's Virginia Fidel? You ever hear of her?
I have not.
She's also from Montana, and she's probably the world's best aura reader.
Beautiful.
And she's probably pushing 80 by now, I guess.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But I find that they would both be from Montana and so significant people. I found it interesting.
Well, she's originally from Idaho Falls, but was drawn to Montana for a reason, and then opened the Anaha Center that's there with her husband.
What's the name of the center?
The Anaha Center. I'm probably not saying it correctly. It's
Anaha?
Like Anaha. It's like Antahana, something like that. I know I'm
Okay.
saying it. I'm not spelling it right, so please everybody know that who's watching.
I'm sure it can be found through.
But if you ask
Yes, if you
Mr.
just
Google,
type in, if you go to www.thetahealing.com, you will be brought to the Theta Healing website. There is all of the information about all of the practitioners, myself included. I have a webpage on that.
how many practitioners are there?
Hundreds, thousands, all over the world.
That's interesting.
When did Vianna receive?
So this information started, Theta Healing really started in the early 90s, about 1994 during 1995. She was a naturopath and a healer. She was a mom. She had children, and she came down with a very rare form of bone cancer. Okay, she had a 9-inch tumor that was growing off her femur. Throughout that time, she kept on praying to God, and she would say, "God, I know I have something I'm supposed to be doing here. Why do I have this cancer?" And she would hear from the Creator, "Vianna, you already know how to heal your leg, now heal your leg." And so she would sit there dumbfounded, like, "Well, how do I heal my leg?" And she would just continuously hear, "You already know what you need to do, now heal your leg." And she did hear that she had some mercury poisoning, and you can read about this in her book, the Theta Healing book, and also on her website, her story of how she healed her leg. But she went to many healers, and long story short, it took a moment with a family member that she was facilitating, and she went up outside her space, past the universe to where she felt that the Creator was. She commanded the healing on her family member's behalf, and the family member had total instantaneous healing. And then it connected the dots, and she was able to then go beyond that, and she healed her leg, and all of the cancer disappeared. And her doctors were completely baffled, and she got science involved, the medical community involved to prove, and she improves how Theta Healing works through the EEG machines that measure the brain waves, and we all understand how the brain waves work. And so the brain waves have a lot to do with it.
Interesting.
Frequencies.
Yeah.
A lot of things are frequency, but that we don't understand.
Absolutely. Everything carries energy and frequency and vibration. That's why crystals heal. That's why sound heals. That's why oils heal. And in Theta Healing, it's all about the planes of existence. And I know we're short on time, so
One of the
Yes.
girls that used to be part of our show passed over, and I don't remember, one of our talented young ladies brought her in for mediumship, And she was talking about, from the other side, how much everything was much more vibrant in colors and vibrations.
That's correct.
And I found that to be quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very true.
If you get a picture of yourself done with an Orig camera, then you take your digital camera and take a picture of that. The vibrational colors in your digital camera will be substantially more
Brighter.
vibrant than
Yeah.
the original picture.
I've
That's
had
kind of interesting too.
I've had an aura photography done. It's really cool.
Yeah, take a picture of that picture,
That would be cool.
and I think
see
you
what
might
happens.
find it interesting.
We're almost done with the show. I want to say thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Ken, Kathy. I like to ask very often if there's one thing you want everybody here to know about yourself or healing, what would that be in 2 minutes or less?
So, if there was one thing that I would want everyone to know, that every single person has the ability to heal, and that there is no greater power to heal than unconditional love, and finding a connection. And it doesn't matter what connection it is, but that connection to your source, to where you feel that you belong, like you connect with, to find that and to hold on to that, because that's really, truly like what heals the body. It's finding our connection, understanding that there's so much more out there, and also remembering that anybody can do this, and everybody is a healer. You don't have to be a healer because I took Reiki, or I took this, or I took that. I have seen healers that ride a bus. I have seen healers that are homeless. I have seen healers that work at a grocery store, and they're just regular people, but their hearts are in the right place, and man, can they move mountains. And that's a true healer. We're all here for each other. Without it, we wouldn't be able to get anywhere.
No.
And to heal, and to move on, and to feel love, and that's what heals. Does
I
it
like the
not?
mentality of the mom kissing the baby,
Yes.
and the baby stops crying.
It
Yeah, just a
trans-
little bit, yeah.
It's transmitted.
It's,
love.
It's a form
Yes,
of
it
healing.
is at birth, with that kiss on the forehead. All of that DNA and information gets transferred. But it's that love. And that's what I'm all about. I'm all about the love, so.
Yeah, breath, love, vibrations. Yeah.
You can't go wrong with unconditional love.
No, it's wonderful. It really is. And to be able to be there for somebody else unconditionally, being in total compassion, the gift that you can be there, just to listen sometimes is enough.
Oh, yeah. That listening gift
Yeah,
is unbelievable.
keeping space for somebody.
But
Yeah.
most people don't understand it.
The angels have told me that the biggest problem we humans have is we don't listen.
Me? Next time you come, bring an angel.
But they're already here.
They're always here.
I did. I
don't
brought a
see
whole
them.
bunch
I
with me.
have a herd that comes with me. That's what Roland called them, that there was a herd of angels.
It's the first I've heard of that one.
For harem.
There's always so many for each of us, though. Always so many, and it's never enough either. Never like enough angels so that are around.
Have you come across something you can't heal?
That would be limiting. And I would say that I didn't.
Not to this date. Okay.
But it's not me healing, it's God, creator of all that
It
is.
just takes time for something.
Everybody has different beliefs, and this is where theta healing comes in, because if the body doesn't heal, there's a reason. And you need to unearth what that reason is.
They haven't learned the lesson.
Not
from
necessarily a
whatever.
lesson. Sometimes people carry beliefs on suffering. Sometimes they believe that in order to heal, they need to be with God.
Or
Or they
believe-
could gain a benefit from being sick, too.
One of the things I've heard that I don't understand is that they take on suffering to help someone else to not suffer.
That's a very shamanic way of doing energy healing, and a lot of the shamans do that.
One of the things that I've noticed is that when people don't heal, it's because they have too much fear of being sick, and the fear kind of stops everything else.
I would
Yeah.
get even deeper into that.
Yeah.
I would go back into the very core of it to find out where it came from.
Well,
Release them from the contract to learn it.
I was working on one woman one time and nothing happened. And later I asked, why didn't my healing work on her? And the answer that came back was fear. Her fear of the illness. And I think we just ran out of time.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.